go.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in. This is Savage Joy with the Unruly Hour. Tonight I am excited. I have Mr. Larry Hamm. He is running in New Jersey to unseat Cory Booker. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Larry. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. I'm in Pennsylvania, so it's always nice to have people kind of in our area. You've been recommended to me by quite a number of viewers, so that's always a good sign. For those who aren't familiar with Larry, as I said, he is in New Jersey. He is running against Cory Booker for Senate. He was the New Jersey state chair for Bernie. He is a grassroots organizer and activist of more than 35 years. That means you always make the best reps because you're activists, you get it, you understand. So first, I just want to touch on breaking news. Three of the officers in Elijah McClain's, I wouldn't say death. It was really, they got fired for mocking him in photos. They were fired. And then the fourth one resigned. What is your take on that it took the photos to get them fired and not the death of this beautiful young man?
Well, believe it or not, I just came from a Black Lives Matter rally in Dover, New Jersey, where there were people carrying signs for Elijah with his picture on there. So even here in New Jersey, people know about what happened to Elijah McClain. And by the way, this was a very large demonstration. Dover is a small town in New Jersey, but the demonstration was huge. There had to be, I would say, maybe close to 1,000 people in the demonstration. So that's pretty good for a town that might have 20,000 people in it, So, people were carrying signs for Elijah. They were carrying signs for Breonna, for George Floyd, and on and on and on, all those names. So it's outrageous in one sense that it takes so long for these officers to be charged, to be arrested, for anything to happen to them, to be suspended. I mean, even some of them, while we consider desk duty really not any serious punishment, it'll be months sometime. Look, the people that killed Breonna Taylor haven't even been charged yet. And I think it's been more than 100 days since her death. And this is outrageous. And I'm glad to see that in the state of Colorado, they're taking steps to eliminate qualified immunity for police officers, because it is my personal belief that this scourge will continue until it's clear to every officer that if they engage in this kind of behavior, they're going to lose their badge, their gun, their license. They might lose their pension, and they might lose their freedom if they're prosecuted and found guilty. When they understand there's a penalty to pay, then we will see a decline in police brutality cases.
Absolutely, because we've seen for years there's been no ramifications. So why would anything change? And it's so beautiful the way the past 5 or 6 weeks, it has shown that the people are stronger than the system. When so many people are coming together, I mean, states are changing laws, and I mean, it's really incredible. So what do you say to people like Andrew Cuomo who say, you know what, we hear you, you won?
Well, I think Cuomo is really, that's his backhanded way of dismissing a movement, and we have to hold all elected officials. See, this is one of the pieces of the puzzle that is missing in this puzzle about what do we do about police brutality. We always talk about, and we should talk about, the people who actually do the killing, but rarely do we roll it up, for instance, to the supervisory officers Who was the commanding officer on the scene at Breonna Taylor's home when the SWAT team broke in with a no-knock warrant and killed her? Who was the commanding officer that signed the warrant to go get men in her house that they already had in custody? Who are the legislators who refuse to pass laws that will make officers' records transparent so that we don't end up hiring officers that are fired from one municipality where they engage in police brutality to get new jobs so that they can engage in police brutality? See, the officers, they are the rank and file. They carry out, they act within the perimeters of the law and the departmental regulations. We also have to implicate in these scenarios the legislators who refuse to vote for legislation that is truly going to have an impact. Like, we need to go to Colorado. We need to celebrate those lawmakers that voted to begin to eliminate qualified immunity, but we need to tag those lawmakers who voted against them. We need to expose them and make an example of them so that lawmakers in other states will understand what is coming if they don't get with the program. This remarkable outpouring of humanity that we have seen across the country, demonstrations, huge demonstrations in over 350 cities in the United States, in countries all around the world. It is telling us that people have had enough of these murders of unarmed civilians, unjustifiable murders, disproportionately large numbers of them Black and brown. But believe it or not, there are many white people the police kill too. They kill about 1,000 people in the United States of all races. It's just that 38% of the 1,000 that they kill every year are Black, and 48% of the unarmed people that are killed are Black. So it's a disproportionately high number, and that's why people see it as a Black problem. But believe me, when you go down the list, you will see that this is not exclusively a Black problem. In my own state here, New Jersey, little New Jersey, demonstrations, huge demonstrations in over 150 towns and cities of people who are not attached to any major organizations. They saw what happened to George Floyd. They were outraged. They went and got a box, an empty box. They flattened it out. They wrote on it. They made a poster and they walked out into the street and started marching. This is magnificent. It's wonderful. But the lawmakers better understand what's happening is that people are ready for them to pass the laws that need to be passed. For instance, every city and town in the United States should have a police review board with subpoena power and with investigatory power. The police must understand that they are accountable to civilian authority. They are not above the people. They are servants of the people.
Absolutely. I mean, I have goosebumps. I don't even know what to say. I'm like at a loss for words. You're taking my ass to church.
I'm That's what I just left the demonstration. That's why I'm so fired up.
On that, on criminal justice reform as well. You on your platform, you have end mass incarceration, end the war on drugs, private prisons. These things are also things that African Americans are always, disproportionately affected by because of racism. So why are you passionate? Why specifically do you have those on your platform?
Well, because those are the major issues of our day. Those are issues that we have been raising for decades. We didn't just come to these issues. Police brutality, I heard your introduction, and I'm not going to contradict you, but I've been in the movement for nearly half a century, 50 years.
Wow.
My organization, People's Organization for Progress, I founded it 38 years ago. But I was involved before that. I was a supporter of Jesse Jackson's campaigns in 84 and 88, helped to build the Rainbow Coalition chapter in New Jersey in the 1980s. I was the youngest school board member in the history of the United States, appointed to the school board at the age of 17. So I've been in the movement since 1971. If I start from there, but I'm saying that these are the things that the people are demanding. My platform is a people's platform, and that is the kind of platform I'm running on. I'm not hiding my stance on these issues. I'm not sugarcoating my positions on these issues. There should be no private prisons in the United States of America. People should not profit off of the incarceration of people. Prisoners should not be paid slave wages the way they are being paid in this country. Since we have to end the war on drugs, that's why over half the federal prison population is Black men and women, because of the war on drugs. In 1966, there were only 100,000 Black people in the nation's prisons, roughly equal to our proportion of the population. Today, we're over half the prison population, and a lot of that has to do with the war on drugs. So all of these things that I have been demanding, we had a collective process to come up with this platform. Now, of course, as the chair of Bernie Sanders' campaign in New Jersey, much of my is very similar, probably explicitly in campaign. For instance, I support reparations to the those African people that were enslaved in this country for 265 years. I put at the top of my agenda the fight for racial justice, equality, and equity. But fundamentally, I support the same things that Medicare for all. It's imminently apparent to all now, because of this COVID crisis, that this patchwork healthcare, privatized healthcare system we have is not getting it. It's not going to help us. We need a national, we're the only advanced industrial country that doesn't have a national healthcare system. We need Medicare for all, single payer, universal healthcare. We need to double the minimum wage. We need to free colleges. We need to eliminate wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. We need to tax the rich, make them pay their fair share of taxes. These are the things that are also part of my platform that I'm running.
Absolutely. And you know, the when I think of Cory Booker, I think of a lot of things, but one of the things I think about is how he is Big Pharma's darling. And I'll never forget when Bernie proposed that the cap on prescription drugs, and he would not agree to sign it. And you know, I'm one of millions of people who, you know, that was devastating to. And, you know, Bernie's medical bill relief is also something you have on your platform, which is huge. Not enough people have that.
Right.
Because Medicare for all would pass, we all deserve a fresh start at that time,
yes.
too.
Yes.
So why did you add that on to the Medicare for all as well, since it's not very common, unfortunately?
Which part you froze for?
Oh, the medical bill forgiveness. Why did you decide to add that onto your platform as well?
Yes. If people are going bankrupt from medical bills, we should forgive a medical debt. We're the only country that has this number of people. In fact, we're the only country that has people bankrupt because of medical bills. So we should, but look, if we could bail, if we recent spate of emergency relief bills, and we gave the corporations almost $4 trillion. If we could do that, we can forgive all medical debt. It's absolutely critical. All, but we must of those people in debt because of their medical expenses.
Absolutely. And, also something we're seeing about, you touched on the $1,200 a lot of us got. We're also seeing no moratorium on rent, on mortgages in millions of cases. And you do support universal housing as well as rent control. So,
Yes.
as far as your district in New Jersey, is homelessness prevalent? Are people reaching out to you and saying that that's, something they're very concerned about?
Not only is homeless prevalent, New Jersey has one of the highest home foreclosure rates in the country. And so
Wow.
all you have to do is take the light rail to Penn Station in Newark, take any bus going to downtown Newark, and you will see a good sample of the serious homelessness problem we have. And here's another thing that I've learned through experience. A lot of people think of homelessness as an urban problem. But believe me when I tell you, the suburbs have their share of homeless too. For a while, they've been able to hide it, you know, and for a while they've been sending their homeless, but giving them, train tickets and bus tickets to come to our urban areas. But now we've seen situations where the homeless are, because even in the suburbs, there are train stations. So sitting, and in the wintertime, they go inside. We have 500,000 homeless people in the United States of America. It's a disgrace that we have that many homeless in this country. And if I'm U.S. Senator, believe me, I will either sponsor or co-sponsor legislation that will deal with the problem of homelessness in our country.
I digress a bit, but what made you decide to run? Is it because of just watching Cory and not supporting, what he does, or was there some other reason that inspired you to take this leap?
Well, there were a combination of reasons. It wasn't any one reason. Some people had approached me about running for the United States Senate in 2018 when Senator Menendez was up for reelection. And I don't know if you remember or not, but Senator Menendez was on trial for corruption. And people were saying, you should run. But I really wasn't. I just mentally wasn't there yet, in I think that was 2018 when Menendez ran. And then the kind of first idea came when they had to pass a special law that would enable Cory Booker to run for Senate and president at the same time. I thought that was a bit much. I thought that was a bit much. This is true. I'm not making this up. They had to pass a special law. I remember the day it happened. I remember it being announced on the news that would president simon that kind of. But the real fundamental reason, I'm going to be quite honest with you, the real reason I ran was because I thought by running for U.S. Senate that I would help Bernie. I would strengthen the Bernie campaign in New Jersey if Bernie had a whole line, including U.S. Senator and the other down ballots, candidates. And that was really the major reason that pushed me over the line. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And then, I just put out a little tweet one day. I said, I'm thinking about running this, I'm going to have a meeting, come and discuss it with me. And like, yes, run. And so really, people kind of announced it for me. This is true. You know, I called a meeting and they said, let's go. And, we've been pushing ever since. It's a grassroots campaign. I don't accept, you had said that Booker was the darling of Big Pharma. He's the darling of Wall Street. When he ran for president, he had more donations from billionaires than any of the other presidential candidates. So he's the darling of Wall Street. All my contributions come from the grassroots. My average donation has been about $38, and I've been doing it the best way I can. And I've continued to be an activist even while I'm running for U.S. Senate. We've had some huge demonstrations here in Jersey. You probably read about the big one we had on May 30th. It was probably one of the biggest demonstrations in the history of Newark, New Jersey. And so I've been continuing the fight against police brutality while I'm running for office.
That's incredible. One of the articles that I saw about you and Cory was just Booker dropped out of forum hosted at National Coalition, or hosted by National Coalition of 100 Black Women, and hosted his own event at the same time. And it was not announced prior. That is so egregious. I can't even. How were people reacting to you when you were there, when they were talking to you after, you spoke and everything like that? What was people's reaction?
Well, I I think the Coalition of 100 Black Women of Southern Jersey consciously restrained themselves from being too negative, but you can tell a lot of them were very upset because he had agreed to this forum. Now, it wasn't even going to be a classical debate, whereas we would appear simultaneously, and they would be able to question each of us. It was that he would come on first, they would question him for 40 minutes, and then I would come on and they would question me for 40 minutes. So this wasn't going to be like a tete-a-tete, but between us. But like a day or 2 days before, he told them that his staff, he didn't tell them, his staff people said that he wasn't going to be on the program. And, I tell you, it did not redound to his benefit. I'll just put it like that. I ended up getting the whole hour and a half. He gave his 45 minutes to me, by not being there. So I think it definitely hurt him, because even today, it's funny that you mentioned this, because they run into me in the street, they had him come on now. And it's true, as you said, not only did he not show up, he had a program at the same time. I think it was on MSNBC to add salt to the wound. But the women brought him back for another candidates forum with other candidates running for other offices. But he came back for that. But he would not appear on the same program with me. And it's to his benefit that he didn't, because, I could say some things that he could not deny,
Exactly. And that's one of the great things about bureaucrats running against people, even if they are not victorious in the traditional sense, they get to kind of inadvertently push the other person to more progressive, because he knew he'd have to get up there and be like, oh no, I support this, and then people would have held him to it. So he's not going to do that.
Well, this is the struggle, right, we have with these neoliberals. And I say that objectively. I don't say it derisively. Neoliberals, one of their major characteristics is that they sound very progressive, but their policies, when you examine them, are conservative. That's why they're neo, right? Not really, right? They're neoliberals. And Booker, if you listen to him make a speech, my he sounds like Dr. Martin Luther King. That's what a lot of people say. You know, I've had people say he's the greatest orator they've ever heard, you know, but when you examine his voting record, when you examine his track record to see who has funded him over the years, who brought him who brought him into Newark, who brought him into the charter school movement. Why he never said anything about, now he's the co-sponsor of a bill on police brutality, but when he was mayor of Newark, he denied the existence of police brutality. I know this because he and I had a personal face-to-face confrontation over this on the corner of Bergen Street in Newark, New Jersey. See, you have to examine these records. That's why it's so to break the neoliberal hold on our politics, because they have mastered the ability of sounding progressive, but their policies are really conservative when you look at them.
Absolutely. He does. He has done a few things with Bernie, surprisingly. But the thing that always, stood out to me about Cory at the debates is he always had this, guys, Donald Trump is winning right now because we're all arguing. Like, he did that every single debate.
Yes. And that's part of this whole attack to repress our progressive agenda. You know, I love Sister Nina Turner. She and I have been on programs together, you know, but I saw her one night and she was saying what a good friend Cory Booker was. And he may be a personal good friend of hers, but he ran against Bernie Sanders. He ran against Bernie. He didn't run against Bernie because he liked Bernie. He ran against Bernie because he fundamentally had a different perspective than Bernie had, or else he would not have put himself on the stage with everybody. And I love Sister Nina, but you know, I was listening to some interviews with her, and if she's listening right now, I love you, Nina. I'm not saying anything against you, but Cory Booker ran against Bernie Sanders. And he didn't run against Bernie Sanders because he was like Elizabeth Warren. He ran against, look, when they asked all those candidates, how many of you want to see an end to private insurance? Only Sanders and Elizabeth Warren raised his hands. You couldn't even mistake it. It's like, it wasn't even like a little hand raise that you might miss. He didn't. He stood there stone faced, you know. And then he'll say today, oh, I support Medicare for all, but you didn't support it when you were on the stage standing there next to Bernie Sanders. I'm sorry to get so agitated. I apologize.
Oh no, I love it. It's so easy for people to say they, agree with something when the bill's not in front of them and an audience isn't in front of them. We all know the truth. What do you find that people are open to learning about the truth about Cory, about his past votes and things like that?
Hello?
Did you hear what I just said?
Yes, I heard. Now I'm going to answer you because you froze for a minute. I think many people are open to be truthful. Cory Booker has a hardcore following of people. They will believe anything he says, but there are a lot of people that don't feel that way. And when you present the facts to them, they are not proud. Like if you ask a lot of people in Newark right now, what do they say about Cory Booker? They said he used Newark as a stepping stone. That's what ask the people of Newark what they think. Ask the teachers in the Newark public schools what they think about Cory Booker. They say, well, he helped to destroy the public. goes to charter schools. And this is um, he got some pretty hefty speaking fees from Betsy DeVos. I don't know how many people know that. And Betsy DeVos right now is a part of Trump's cabinet, and she's doing everything she can to dismantle public education as we know it right now. So there are some people who are going to be ride or die with Cory, but there are a lot of people who are open to another, and in fact, have a whole nother perception. It's like the difference between, remember when Buttigieg was running and everybody was saying how great Buttigieg was, but the black people from his town were trying to get people's attention, saying, hey, this guy is not dealing with the police issues in our town. Amy Klobuchar, everybody was saying how great Amy was, but there were black people from her town say, hey, in fact, she had some dealings with Chauvin before the George Floyd case. So a lot of these people, when they step on the national stage, you see a manufactured image. You see the best image of them. But you got to go back and talk to. Biden tried to talk to it, but Biden was so really unfamiliar. He got caught up, and then Cory did a little touche on him with the whole Kool-Aid thing, which, really didn't impress me. That made people laugh, but I'm telling you, that's not what I would have wanted. You never heard Bernie Sanders talking about the damn Kool-Aid, did you? No, but you understand what I'm saying? Some people had tried to inform Biden, but Biden wasn't sharp enough to really put the information out there the way it needed to be put out at that moment on the debate stage. But, what has surprised me, you don't have to look very hard to see numerous critiques of Cory Booker. Like, they're all there, articles in the Atlantic, in all those respected journals that progressive and radical people lead. You don't have to make anything up. You don't have to embellish anything or make any. You'll get a whole list.
Yeah, and I think just the simple fact that when you don't agree to debate, that alone, that tells me all I need to know. That shows me he is not strong enough to take on his convictions if he has any. And, as far as, 2020, of course, is on everyone's mind, but, you had a post that is spot on. We have to also get people on down ballot elected. It's not just the president. And right now we are screwed. So we need to get people who are in Senate and House, who are Bernie-crats, who are progressives. How hopeful are you about Tuesday?
Well, I'm very hopeful. In New York State, which is right next to us, 7, 8, 9, maybe, progressives got elected to different, they won their primaries. They beat incumbents. And that's a very hopeful sign. I think it bodes well for those of us. People don't know it. I mean, you're talking to me and I'm running for U.S. Senate. Do you know that we have over 150 people on the ballot in New Jersey? I mean, first of all, we have 84 Bernie delegates. Their names are on with Bernie in every delegate district. I'm running for U.S. Senate. We have 3, not me, us people running for Congress. We have 16 people running for Board of Freeholders. We have people running for county clerk and people running for mayors and town councils. So we have a lot of down ballot candidates in New Jersey.
You guys do. It's incredible. I had Hector and Russ on. Both great guys. I hope all 3 of you win. There's so many great progressive Bernie-crat candidates in New Jersey. Hector was telling me about the ballot and how there's so many people, but I love how they let you put not me, us on all of your names. That is so incredible. Yes. That's awesome. do you have concerns, Tuesday, about, I know you said there's going to be a lot less polling centers. Do you have concerns about voting transparency? Are you trepidatious that things are going to be accurate?
I am concerned. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You know, initially and still, we supported vote by mail because we wanted to keep people safe. But vote by mail is no panacea. We had our first vote by mail election in May for our municipal elections and school board elections, and there were a lot of problems. And my fear is that these problems are going to show themselves again during this period. Like right now, people are voting. You know, people got their ballots around the 15th of June. Everybody had their ballots by then. So from June 15th until July 7th, people can vote. Now, everybody is supposed to have received ballots, but they're still going to have a limited number of polling places open on July 7th. But I am concerned. You know, I remember when I opened my ballot, when I opened my ballot that I got in May, there was so many papers in there, and I'm a college graduate. You know, there was so many papers in there. I was like, oh no, you know, my heart sunk because I knew that this was going to confuse people. You know, you had a page for instructions, you had a sample ballot, you had the real ballot, you had the postage paid envelope, and it had a flap on. And you're not supposed to detach the flap, and you got to sign it. I was like, oh no, this
taking the SATs again.
This is going to be a problem. You know, so yes, so the vote by mail is, you know, it's don't want to spread the corona back in the polling places, but I'm telling you, we're going to have a lot of problems with it. And you know, anytime you do something for the first time, you have some problems with it, you know. So I just have to hold my breath and wait and see, you know, what happens. The good news is that I walked through the streets. I was up in Dover. I live in Montclair, New Jersey, which is in a different county. Dover is in Morris County, New Jersey. But way up in Dover, as I'm walking through the street, people saying, "Brother Larry, I'm gonna vote for you, man." You know, and that was, you know, that really lifted my spirits, you know, because I am the underdog. This is clearly a David and Goliath story. But I think that anything is possible at this point. You know, somebody said, I don't want to take you away from your question, but somebody said to me today, "Oh, it's mighty quiet around here for an election." And when it's quiet like that, you know, the powers that be are concerned. Like we haven't, you know, usually they come every poll, no articles. Let's see what happens. But I'm very encouraged and I'm very hopeful.
Absolutely. This is you've been really blowing up on social media and stuff. It's pretty exciting. The one thing you can say about Burners is we are very active and we promote people like crazy.
Well, I want to say all those people that are excited, call if you're in New Jersey. If you haven't voted, vote. And if you're outside of New Jersey, call somebody in New Jersey and tell them to vote. Tell them to vote. The whole Larry Hamm and the whole not.
And what just do you want to leave the viewers with something to, I know a lot of us are feeling kind of, you know, defeatist at times and kind of, you know, it's hard to hold on to hope right now for especially electorally for presidentially.
Yes.
What would you like to leave with the viewers to who are maybe feeling down and feeling like what's the point of voting and fighting anymore?
No, we got to fight on. Look, let me just. My high school didn't have a football team. I was in track, put me in a 2-mile run. For 2 years, I lost every race I ever had. I lost every race in my freshman year and every race in my sophomore year. I didn't start winning races until my junior year. And then by my senior year, I was state champion Group 1 schools and the record holder in the 2-mile run. We have to have a lot of failures before we have the victories that we're looking for. Bernie Sanders gave us a great service by running in 16 and in 20. He showed that there's a large swath of America that's ready for a progressive agenda, that's ready for fundamental change in this country. He did us that service. He did his part as much as he can do. Now it's up to us to run the rest of the way. So Bernie may not be running for president, but we have many Bernies. What do you call them? Burners? We have many burners running for office,
Bernie Kratz.
At different levels. Yes, they're running for office, and we need to get out and support those burners that are on the ballots wherever we are.
Absolutely. And to everyone watching, any state who hasn't voted yet, New Jersey included, Bernie's on the ballot. We're still trying to accrue delegates.
Yes.
So definitely now's your chance to vote for him. It still felt damn good. I went to Iowa to volunteer for 5 weeks. So I was like, no one's taking this from me. I am voting for him, period.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Larry, for joining us. You are incredible. I wish you the best of luck. I will share this on Twitter. Do you want to give your website and Twitter, all that fun stuff?
Yes. I'll give the website. If you want to help my campaign, you want to volunteer, you want to make a donation, go to www.hamm, H-A-M-M, Senate, SENATE.org, www.ham4senate.org, and put it in your browser. Don't Google it. You have to put it in your browser, the one all the way at the top of your screen. Put it in your browser. It'll take you right there. You can sign up on the website. You can make a donation. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys for watching. I will be on a medical hiatus for about 2 weeks. I have to have emergency surgery on Monday because I'm thank you. I hope it just goes smoothly, and thank you to everyone who has bought Pat and my book, which just came out Tuesday. If you guys want to reserve a copy, it's savageandpat.com. So again, thank you so much for joining us, Larry. You're incredible, and I truly wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too.
Stay safe.
You too.